Can you break down the business model of PHP?
Are you familiar with how multi-level marketing works?
That's Patrick Bet-David. You've probably seen some of his videos on YouTube, but do you really know his story and how he's made his millions?
Insurance is very hard. Like what you're doing, it's not hard work.
Today, Patrick unpacks his journey from escaping war zones
It's just terrible, man. One time I got bombed 167 times a day.
to pursuing the American dream of entrepreneurship
I love America, I love capitalism. I'm just gonna get louder.
to selling his company for 9 figures.
Can you give us a ballpark of how much you sold PHP for?
Shy of $300 million.
What was it like selling for hundreds of millions of dollars?
Incredible.
How'd you enjoy the money?
Get a 200-foot yacht, and we go to Monaco, and we're gonna live on the yacht for 2 months.
What would you say your net worth is with all this stuff, equity, everything?
I think I'm close to it.
That's a lot.
Of money.
Capitalism works.
For the people that don't know you, can you share, like in 30 seconds, your story?
Yeah, born and raised in Iran, lived there 10 years. We escaped. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, went to Germany, lived at a refugee camp there for 2 years, 18 months. Came to the States November 28, 1990. Went to the Army, was in the Army for 2.5 years, 101st Airborne Air Assault, got out. I went to school, wanted to be a bodybuilder. I was gonna go be Mr. Olympia, and then I met a girl in Venice Beach. She and I started dating. She was working at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I'm like, you always got nice cars you drive when you pick me up. So I work at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I'm an investment advisor. I'm a financial advisor. I start with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter day before 9/11, Series 7, 66, all the stock, bonds, all the things you could sell. Then I left Morgan. I went to Transamerica World Financial. I'm there for 7.5 years. And then after that, October of 2009, I started my own insurance company. I sold the company a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And then accidentally started a YouTube channel called Valuetainment, turned into a podcast, turned into a consulting firm, turned into a product development business. And now we do a bunch of different things through Lion Holding, Valuetainment, all of that.
Can you paint a little picture of your childhood? Share a little bit more about that? Because I think I heard you speaking German.
Rough.
I know you're in a refugee camp, but you said it was good.
Parents got divorced and married to each other twice. When 500,000 people died in Iran, I'm living in the capital, Tehran. The war is going on between Iran, Saddam Hussein, Khomeini. I'm a revolution baby. It's just terrible, man. One time we got bombed 167 times, 165 times in a day. Eventually my mom's like, listen, we got to take your son out of Iran because he's 10 years old. The moment he's 12, he can't leave because he's going to have to serve the Iranian military. And my dad said, good idea. We left.
And you went to a refugee camp in Germany. What's a refugee camp like?
Dude, I mean, you're around other people that are trying to escape communism, socialism, dictatorship, a bunch of guys that are trying to come to America. And we all have that in common. It's a dream to one day leave their homeland that they love to come somewhere that they can be free of their religion, of the amount of money they want to make, of the strong opinions they may want to have, of the fact that they can sit there and assemble and give their thoughts, their ideas, fight, compete, do all that stuff. That's what we're escaping from.
Why did your family decide to move?
We never had plans of living in Germany, even though we had family in Germany. Man, there was no opportunity there. Germany was like the pit stop to U.S.
How was it for your family when you got to U.S.?
Dream. First we landed in New York, the airport. I'm looking for Rocky. I'm looking for Goonies. I'm literally. And then you come to L.A., I'm living in Granada Hills, and you're like, oh, okay, well, we're finally here. Let's make it work. You'd watch TV and you watch the news and you see how open they are. There's a business model to trashing presidents, and everybody's like, oh my God, you can talk like this here? Yeah, it's actually a business model to do media. Free press. We're not used to free press in Iran. Are you free press? You're going to get killed. There is no free press. So all these unique little things that you're trying to adjust to and saying, this is kind of weird, right? One makes you realize, wow, this actually exists. What are my real dreams? Can I really build a life like that? So I was the kid that was a dreamer, but skeptical. It's not going to happen to me. So I needed my belief system to come up. I need somebody to believe in me, but I was a dreamer always. One day, what if one day, what if one day?
How do you think all that turmoil impacted you long term or helped you as an entrepreneur, having you're in Iran and you have to change to Germany and you have to come to America, start all over?
Anytime you're trying to do something big with your life, you have to know if you can truly handle, if you're mentally and emotionally tough. Sometimes in life, we want everything to be easy, but you need a little bit of the chaos and madness and craziness because that either toughens you up or guess what? You realize you're not meant to do something really big and with a lot of pressure to it. And then it kind of stays here. And you either use that as a field to do something with it or you don't. I eventually ended up using it.
How was it for you guys when you were in America? Did you guys feel poor?
Very poor. My dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store in Inglewood, California, right next to Great Western Forum. We were welfare babies. We had nothing going on, but, we're just happy to be in America.
What was high school like for you?
I loved it. Never missed a day in school. Never. I had a 1.8 GPA, but I never missed a day in school.
1.8?
I had a 1.8 GPA in school. I love math, I love pre-calculus, I love math analysis, and I could care less about anything else. Anything else. All I loved was numbers and math and people.
It seems like you liked selling things, you had big dreams, but I'm kind of curious and surprised you went to the military at that point versus, I think where you went after the military, I was kind of surprised you didn't go there first.
Military for me was an escape. I was trying to get the hell out of Glendale. A lot of bad things were going on at the time. So for me, it was kind of like to just get away from everybody. One night, I'm at my sister's house and I'm at the apartment. I'm in the jacuzzi with a bunch of my friends. We're partying, we're being very loud. We finish up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Next day, she's about to get evicted. And I'm upstairs, I sleep in. I got to go to my job, Burger King in Glendale, California, off of Central. I go downstairs to get my car. And my car that my mom left me behind, Chevy Toyota Corolla Silver one, 1983, was stolen. And I called my dad in a moment. I'm sitting in the balcony. I said, Dad, I'm joining the Army. He says, what do you mean? I says, come pick me up, take me to Glendale. We go to Glendale. I talked to Jesus Guerra. I said, if you can get me in the Army tomorrow, I'm in. He said, it's going to take 3 months. After a bunch of calls, 2 weeks later, I was in South Carolina, Fort Jackson, boom. Calling my mom, who was in Iran, saying, Mom, I got 30 seconds, love you, but I'm in the U.S. Army. What? I got to let you go, click. Never look back. Best decision I made joining the Army. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I don't join the Army.
What was the experience like?
It was great because I was forced to make friends with people from all walks of life who have never met a Middle Eastern before. It got me to learn how to talk to different people from different walks of life. But you really learn about teamwork, camaraderie, having fun, fighting for each other. It's a lot of great experiences.
I'm wondering for people who aren't immigrants necessarily or didn't join the military, but they want to learn some of these different lessons, like what would you recommend them to do?
Go in an environment, in a startup environment with a guy that's being ran by an operator that's a maniacal guy, that's hypomanic, that's not going to slow down, and see what it is like to survive in a startup environment for the first 3-5 years. And after 5 years, if you can make it there, dude, good for you, respect. Everybody wants to be part of I'd love to be part of a startup working with Elon Musk. Oh, really? Yeah, oh, okay, great. What do you think it's like working with an Elon Musk? The guy buys Twitter, turns it into X. Day 1, 7,500 employees. Day 2, he fires 3,750. Day 3, 1,250 people quit. Day 4, he's left with 2,250. And you want to work with that guy? Yeah, but I bet it's such a great experience. I bet playing with Michael Jordan was such a dream. Go watch The Last Dance. If you're lucky enough to work in that kind of an environment for 5 to 10 years, you're a human specimen. What you're going to be able to do and what you're going to be able to take from people, you're bulletproof. But regardless, your market value increases if you can be in a place like that. So if you don't want to do military, go in an environment where it's high octane, high intense, nonstop, see how you react.
So when you left the military, there's some things, I'm excited to get to the PHP and some of the things you've been up to these years, but what were those years like before PHP and what did you learn through them? Like, I think you worked at a gym, and then you worked at Morgan Stanley.
Bally's was awesome. We had the smallest club in America, I think. Well, we won the Triple Crown. Triple Crown is membership sales, personal training sales, and supplements. We killed everybody with a small club because we had such a united team. And so from there, they took me out and they put me in Hollywood, which was the biggest club in El Centro. And then from there, they sent me to Chatsworth. I got a promotion, and we took it from 42% of the goal to 118%, 115% the goal. And that's when my moment came. And I said, I think I'm going to be a general manager of a club one day, and I'm eventually going to be a supervisor making $200,000-$300,000 a year. And then my boss, Robbie, came in. I said, what do I need to do to be the weekend assistant manager of Hollywood? Because I want to go back to that pays $55,000 a year, this pays $40,000. I want that job. He says, if you beat Edwin Guerra, you have that job. Edwin's at a big club, and I'm at a small club. I end up beating Edwin Guerra at a smaller club. I was number 8, he was number 10. I beat him. You told me if I beat him, I get El Centro weekend assistant. He says, I know, but we have to give it to Edwin. I said, why is that? Tenure. So you didn't think I was going to beat him, did you? You didn't think I was going to beat him. I said, well, you told me that's my job. He said, I can't give it to you. I said, I quit. I can't do that, bro. My dad taught me that, keep your word. You ain't keeping your word with me. I can't trust you. I got to move on. And I left. Lost everything. I'm in debt $49,000. A year later, a year later, I called Robbie begging for a job. He gives me the worst position in the world. I'm working at Hollywood, opening the club at 4 o'clock in the morning till noon. Who do you think buys gym memberships from 4 to noon? Nobody. No one ever goes buying a membership. Everybody buys a gym membership after 6. That morning made me realize how bad I don't want to be there. 5 months later, quit my job, went in financial services with World Financial, working 80, 100 hours a week, Literally 7 days a week. I worked 7 days a week for God knows how many years, 10, 15 years. And then all of a sudden, crazy things started happening. First time in my life, I made $18,495 in a month, May of 2004. I go and show my dad. I said, Dad, I just made $18,495. He says, how? I said, selling insurance. That was the last day my dad ever reached in his pocket to pay for anything that he ever went out with me.
What was your peak salary or money you were making when you had the job at is it Transamerica or World Finance?
Transamerica.
What was
World
your,
Financial Group is a part of.
What was your top like yearly salary with that?
Shy of $500,000. I'm making probably $450, $430 a year.
And so you transitioned into that because you saw that there was more money from that, doing the financials versus working at the gyms. And when you quit back in the gym.
I knew I was going to do sales, and I wanted to be somewhere where I was appreciated.
So you're making $500,000, life is good, and then one day you're like, hey, they're not taking me seriously?
Yeah, I'm done. Because I went to Atlanta to meet with them and all their lawyers, and I told them, I said, I'm here because one of four things is going to happen today. I'm either going to stay here and be the CEO of the company. Number two, I'm going to sell my business and walk away. I'm going to linger around and find something else to do, or I'm going to leave and start my own company and be a direct competitor. But I'm going to make that decision at the end of this meeting. And they said, you'll never leave. I said, I'll never leave. He says, no. Everybody that comes to the room like this comes to us, they want money from us. And we always give them money and then they stay. You're not going anywhere. You have too good of a job. And I said, you need to tell me the vision of the company. Because if you don't have a vision, I don't think you have a vision with the company. I think you're lost because you're so wealthy and you have money now. You just want to play golf and kick it and relax. I don't think you have one. You want to tee it up. The guy, what I trusted, respected about the fact that 30 minutes later, he flat out told me, you're right. I don't know what I want to do with the company. I said, I can't be in a company.
Can you break down the business model of PHP?
It's a high volume recruiting model. So I took what I learned from Bally's. So Bally's to me was a very scripted environment. Everything was scripted. So I realized in every product you ever sell, you need an FAQ. So I created an FAQ for term, for perm, for annuity, for the opportunity, for investors, for everybody. Once you know the FAQs, you just have to know the FAQs. And then I worked at World Financial. World Financial taught me the concept of high volume recruiting. If I'm looking to build a business to sell, if I'm a personal producer and I make $3 million a year, no one's going to buy my business because they have to buy me. And I don't want to sell for the rest of my life. I saw a massive niche of nobody was targeting Middle America, Hispanics, African Americans. We became 54% Hispanic, while America's only 24%. We became 24% African American, while America's only 13%. And then we became, 51% millennial, 34 years old, young. And the insurance industry isn't that, and that's not the case. And I said, let's roll. High volume recruiting. And then we created the licensing, the bonuses, the tiers that we would pay bonuses on. And then all of a sudden, we moved people from California to Texas, to Chicago to Florida. And then once I had guys spread across the country, then we started recruiting this way. And then we eventually ended up being in all states.
So taking a step back on PHP business model, it sounds like half the business is in the recruiting, kind of an MLM of sort, network marketing model, and half is in actual profit from selling the insurances. Am I understanding that correct?
No, nobody makes money from recruiting. So for example, are you familiar with how multi-level marketing works?
I'm trying to understand it because I think that's sometimes what people have said about.
Okay, so when you think about multi-level marketing, who do you think about? What companies do you think about?
Amway.
Okay, Amway is a $12 billion company. So in MLM, there is unilevel, there is binary, there is matrix.
Okay.
If you want to, I don't know if you're interested.
No, I don't know if I want to do the whole thing,
that's
just
what
the
I'm
high
saying.
level.
So in unilevel, companies that last long term, nobody can get paid money from recruiting.
You have to make the money on.
That's a pyramid scheme. So what Ponzi scheme was about, I'll give you $250, you keep $100 of it, but then you go get three people that you get $250, you get $100, but I get $50, and if they go get, that's a Ponzi scheme.
But the business model part, I'm still trying to understand, because you said it's no one makes money from the licensing or the selling. So which
no
part?
one makes money from recruiting. You only make money. I don't make money if I recruit you. I only make money if I recruit you and get you licensed and get you to sell so I can override you. Or if I sell you a product. But just recruiting you, I don't make any money.
What was your first year sales of PHP? And then what were the last
$2 million.
So in 2009 to 2 million, what did you end up in 2022?
A little over 100 million, 120 million. It's a good sized business, but insurance is very hard. Like what you're doing, it's not hard work. It's work, but you're smart. You're wise. I had to learn how to do that. Insurance is very hard.
That's why I was curious the pitch. I was just kind of curious how you sell someone insurance. Because I'm have a wife and we're about to have a kid.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I think I might need insurance. So I'm curious. I feel like you have a solid pitch about why.
But in insurance for you, okay, The average person is making 80 grand a year, homemaker, breadwinner. You need a $250,000 life insurance policy to a $500,000 life insurance policy. You're buying that because God forbid if something happens to you, what's your wife going to do taking care of the 2 kids? We had a guy named Jacopo, who was our manager at El Torito in Encino. We go to him, 38-year-old guy with 3 kids. Wife didn't speak English. Guy's making $65,000 at El Torito, $70,000 at El Torito. We sit down and we talk to him. My guy named Tony says, hey, Jacopo, you need insurance. What happens to your wife if you don't have any insurance? The guy says, I know what you're doing. You're trying to pin my wife against me. Next week he dies. He was 38 years old with 3 kids and wife didn't speak English. What the hell is his wife going to be doing? He could have bought a $250,000 policy for $40 a month. She would have $250,000. She had to go marry any guy just because he could pay the bills. Any guy. Can you imagine? He's watching down from heaven and saying, babe, how could you marry a guy like that? Well, babe, you didn't buy a life insurance policy. I was forced to marry Julio. That's what happens with insurance. It's not for you. It's for the 90% of America that desperately needs it. You're worth money, though. So you don't really need insurance except for taxes. So for a guy like you, you're only buying insurance so your kids and your wife doesn't have to pay the taxes when you die. You're not buying insurance to protect money. Like, a guy like you goes to the insurance agent and gets as much insurance as you can. Because it's nothing to you, it's so cheap. Literally, you know how much money it is for you? Like right now, if you were to say, how much is a $10 million insurance policy? 42 years old, 10 million. Are you a smoker?
No.
You drink alcohol?
Yeah.
You drink a lot or not a lot?
1 to 2 a day.
Okay, so I'm going to put your income at $2 million a year. Let's just say, you haven't told me this, I'm just putting it up there. Household retirement, whatever, household debt, whatever. You're probably going to be getting a $10 million policy for $1,000 a month. What's $12,000 a year to you? Nothing. If something happens to you, they have to pay taxes. That $10 million goes to the wife to pay for the taxes. You're not buying it because your wife needs your life insurance policy.
Can you give us a ballpark of how much you sold PHP for?
Oh yeah, I'll shy of $300 million. By the time the whole thing is over with our earnouts and everything that we're doing, it's going to end up being more than $300 million.
What was it like selling for hundreds of millions of dollars?
Incredible. We were at Monaco when we found out the money's being wired to Goldman Sachs. My wife and I were having breakfast. The way we cried during that breakfast was priceless because we made money, but we've never had multi-9-figure type of money. That's when you're kind of sitting there and saying, hey, family was really calling. Now they're really going to be calling. You're going to find out you had cousins you never knew about, right? But it was a moment where 6 months of me being on the road, her doing payroll a day after we had a baby and she's sitting at the hospital while the baby's sitting there, she's doing payroll for everybody. You go through those types of, you go to those days and you realize how much we sacrifice, how much we almost lost it all, and the fears, the anxieties, the insecurities a husband and wife sees each other in that nobody else knows. That bond you can't describe. So that was the most unique moment we had when we're sitting across from each other saying, hey, it's official. Yeah. Great feeling.
How did you treat yourself? How did you enjoy the money?
It's funny you're saying this. I kept telling everybody, I'm like, babe, when we sell it, I'm telling you right now, babe, I'm going to get a 200-foot yacht and we go to Monaco and we're going to live on the yacht for 2 months. We're just going to relax and all this other stuff. Anyways, it happened. We came back to work. And of course, we celebrated. We did a lot of different things for ourselves, for our families, investments, different opportunities, Yankees ownership, places we've gone with the kids. Our Christmas has become incredible, the stuff that we're doing when we're creating traditions with the family. But we already had a great life. I already was living in a $30 million home, driving $1 million Ferrari, had a bunch of nice clothes. We go to the nicest restaurants. We've been all over the world, 40 plus countries. It wasn't like dramatically was going to change. This was now about really asking yourself, you really think you're a big thinker? Let's see what you're going to do now, because you don't have to work anymore. Let's see, Mr. PBD, if you're a big thinker. Oh, we're going to really learn about you now. And that was the best exercise for us.
Can you tell me more about buying the stink in the? Can you tell me more about buying the stink? Stank. Why am I getting stank?
Stank.
The stank in the Yankees.
The stank in the Yankees. The steak in the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big baseball card guy. I love baseball. I'm like the kid who, when I have a baseball card, I'm in a whole different place. And I always was a fan of Mickey Mantle's 1952 Topps rookie card. But I made an offer for $19 million to PSA 10. The guy turned me down. He knows who he is. And then I said, okay, let me see what's going to happen. I got a call from a guy who knew I wanted to be a minority owner of a sports team because long term I'd like to be a majority owner. I think I'd make a very good owner of a team. He says, hey, I got some teams that there's some spots on. I said, give me the names. He gives it to me. I said, no, I'm not interested. He said, who are you interested in? I said, really, it's only 3 teams I'm interested in. He said, give me the names. Yankees, Lakers, Dodgers. That's really it. So maybe I would entertain Raiders. And he called me back for Raiders. I'm like, I'm good. Then he calls me back a year later, 6 months later. He says, a guy who was on the board of the Yankees is selling. What do you want to do? I said, what is it? He said, well, you got to go through an MLB background check, all this stuff. 15 months it took for me to go through the background check. There's a Yankees background check. There's an MLB background check. Eventually, Yankees, 2 weeks before the announcement, they asked me to fly out to New York for me to interview. I said, guys, I'm very loud. I talk a lot about politics. I love America. I love capitalism. I'm just going to get louder. Just want you to know this. You can't call me and tell me to be quiet. I'm very loud. And they're like, as long as you don't tell us who to trade for, who to do this, and you realize he's the boss, we're going to be fine. I said, then that's it. And then we agreed. We shook hands. Great conversation. They took us to the Steinbrenner suite, the owner's suite. Incredible. Yankees, history, giving us private tour in the field, everything. And obviously now, it's a great experience because we'll go to Hamptons, get in the helicopter, go to a Yankees game, watch the game, come back. I mean, it's a dream. It's one of those things that, it's truly a dream.
Do you fly only private now?
I only fly private now.
What kind of plane do you have?
Oh, I don't have a plane yet. I haven't bought a plane because we're looking at buying a property that has a hangar where we can put the plane there, but I don't want to buy the plane. I want to buy the property first with a hangar, God willing, and then we put it there. Now, I have a guy I use, and he books me typically with these 3 planes that I use, and I charter all the time.
How much do you think you spend a year on planes?
Couple million.
Awesome. I told my wife, I was like, baby, 50. Like, that's all I want to fly is private. Like, we were in line security yesterday. It was 30 minutes. I was like, I'm going to work harder. Not harder just to work harder, but it's like, what a luxury of life to be able to afford that, be able to take other people, do those things. What was the best advice you ever received now that you're worth 9 figures?
In life, it's a different story than it is to be in 9 figures. 9 figures was truly reading Blue Ocean Strategy. I'm telling you, when I read Blue Ocean Strategy, it was powerful because it made me realize, because this one guy was saying, we're going to be a holistic model. We're going to sell everything under the sun. And Blue Ocean says that's the worst way to do it. Pick and choose your niche. Instead of being in a red ocean, choose a blue ocean. Stop trying to directly compete with everybody. Compete like this. Don't compete like this. Once I figured that part out, I said, game, we're good. My confidence went up. And I said, I can pull this off. I think I can pull this off. And then it was just going. Then I saw our blue ocean was the right one, and then it was game over. And then I combined content creation, and I never once sold insurance to anybody from Valuetainment. Never once. But the moment Valuetainment became something I was creating content on the side, and then accidentally we took off, and then all of a sudden we got 1 million subscribers, whatever. The people show up, Life of an Entrepreneur goes viral, interviews come up, podcast comes up, then that part's growing. Then everybody's like, what? So these two are the same thing? They are. Wow. Man, I love your stuff. Great. So those are values and principles? Yeah. That's how you build this company? And yeah, I'd love to be part of a company like that. Natural, organically, it was taking place. So that was probably one of the biggest things for me was the Blue Ocean Strategy.
And today you have 8 businesses. Can you break down these 8 businesses and the revenue that they're at?
So insurance is the 9th one, okay? But let's set that aside because I got a couple more months left for earnout. I'm still a full-time CEO to that company, by the way, till today. Then you got David Consulting. David Consulting will be a unicorn probably within 18 to 24 months. 8 years ago, when I was doing content, we got like 100,000 subscribers or whatever it is. 2016, say we got 100,000 subs, 200,000 subs. Mario one day calls me, says, Pat, some guy's calling, says he wants to hire you as a consultant. He's asking me what your hourly rates are. I said, I don't do no consulting. He said, Pat, I don't know what to tell. I said, just make up a number and see what he tells you. Mario goes back, I'm like, I'm running an insurance company. I don't even know how to take a payment from you. Goes up to the guy, he says, $5,000. He comes back, he said, Pat, he booked 3 hours. I said, you're kidding me. No, I said, what does he want to do with me? He's just got questions for you. Is he in the insurance industry? Not at all. What does he do? Transportation. You're kidding me. No. Now, I don't even know if I can help you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm like walking and saying, why the hell you paid me $15,000 to spend 3 hours with you? But let's see what happens here. We start the conversation. By the time it's done, I'm like, I'm going to change your life. I just made you a lot of money. We took that business from 8 million a year to 60 million a year. That guy's going to be a $1 billion company within the next 3 to 5 years. Next guy comes in, and then he kept coming back. And the next guy comes in. I'm like, guys, I can't do that 5,000 anymore. So then I went to 15,000, then I went to 40,000. Then they started booking me for speaking. We'll give you $100,000. I said, it's not worth a lot of money to me, $100,000. We'll pay you $200,000. Now it's $250,000, $500,000, and $1 million international. And people cut the check, and I only do 4 per year. I don't even want to do them because my entire life today is built around a 3-mile radius of where you're sitting at right now. So by David Consulting, we do engagements for 4,000 businesses worldwide from 60 countries. That's by David Consulting. Then you have Manect, all integrated businesses. Guy, lawyer, 7-minute call, bills me for 30 minutes. I said, what do you charge by the minute? He says, no lawyer charges by the minute. I said, one day I'm going to launch a company called Manect. Do you have a minute to connect? Let's Manect. Now there's the app. Very simple. Manect is, growing, doing its thing. I can choose to pay you to respond back in an audio. I can choose to get a respond back in video, or I can have a 15-minute call with you. The talent gets paid 80%, Manect keeps 20%. Beautiful. So that's the second one. Third is the PBD podcast that's turned into a business. It's generating God knows how much money right now. AdSense, sponsorship. It's just driving traffic. So that's PBD podcast. Then you have the merch company that we have with the gear that we're selling. We want 1 million people this year. We're in Future Looks Bright gear. It's our special Future Looks Bright gear, a hat or shirt. We want everybody to be optimistic everywhere they go and confuse the hell out of everybody. Because there's so much fear porn being sold. We want that. Then we got the cigar business, we got the comedy club, and we got a couple other ancillary businesses, but it's 9 businesses. We also have Valuetainment Investment Group, where people, if they want to raise money, you'll come to us. Hey, I'd like to raise $10 million. No problem. If we come to you to be one of the co-investors, we're always in ourselves with our own money. We have a pool of accredited investors that if they want to be part of the list, they send the email to Valuetainment Investment Group. You're to the list. Every time we have a new investment, we'll send the email. You're interested, or what are you in? I'll give $250,000, I give $100,000. So, yeah. So these are things that people don't know about.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
What would you say your net worth is with all this stuff, equity, everything? Like half
Today?
a billion? Yeah.
I think I'm close to $500 million. It could accelerate very quickly, depending on a couple big moves. If one of these things spreads, that thing can go fairly quickly. But I would say right now it's at $500 million.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot.
Capitalism works, though. Capitalism works.
It does. And I love that about America.
America is the greatest country in the world.
I fully agree with that. I was curious, any poor performing assets you've had or bad investment experiences?
You know how much money I lost with penny stocks? Wasted my time with not selling penny stocks. So I'm the guy that was buying penny stocks, that something could happen to them. I bought a clothing brand that I wasted my money and time thinking I was going to get it to be the next, Burberry or the next whatever. No. Finally, I'm like, specialize, specialize, specialize. The more I specialize, the more I won. The more I generalized, the more distracted I got. And more brain headaches, unnecessary stress. Specialize, specialize, specialize.
How do you get Khabib, and how much did you pay for Khabib and Tom Brady?
So let me give you that breakdown with the speakers.
Yeah, because you have these guys that I like. You have Khabib on stage, and I'm like, I never see Khabib anymore.
Yeah, no, Khabib doesn't do anything. Well, Khabib's manager is a good friend, so that's kind of unfair because Ali and they follow the content, so it's not like. So funny story with Khabib. I invite Khabib to come speak at our PHP conference.
Yeah, I saw it.
So while I'm there interviewing him, they're thinking PHP hired me to interview him. They have no clue I own the company. So they say to me in the back, what do they pay you to interview me? He says, because I'm only doing this because you're interviewing me. I said, bro, I own the company. So if you think about some of the guys that we've interviewed, that we brought to events, we paid them. It's not those
like
guys.
7 figures? What do you have to pay for?
No. Brady, somebody paid him $3.2 million. We didn't. But we paid him a good change, but we didn't pay him 7 figures. But we had Kobe. Kobe was a epic interview that we did, the late Kobe Bryant. Shaq, after our 3-4 year feud, and he blocked me, was upset. That was a fun one. But anything we do with podcasts, we don't pay. Only when we're doing stage because we're selling tickets. Podcasts, we don't.
The Khabib one was legendary, but it's interesting because I saw his interview and he has amazing morals. I just love him as a man. Like Khabib.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's just he doesn't shake women's hands out of respect for his
My
religion.
wife comes up, he just stands like this.
The guy's a stud.
He's
committed.
Yeah.
When you had Khabib and Brady on stage at your conferences, what did you learn from them? What do you still take away to this day?
Brady is, I don't know why, he plays like a psycho competitor, but in interviews, he's diplomatic. As much as I enjoy talking to Khabib on stage, I enjoyed it 10 times more behind stage. Such a great conversation. It's him, another guy named Rez, Ali. And by the way, Muslims. And I'm a Christian. Religion-wise, we had the best conversation together. You can tell a lot by a man on how much pride he has and how much he defends his father. He's my kind of guy. He's a stud.
Where'd you just go right there?
The video of when he is trying to pick up his dad and he can't pick up his dad, and I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No.
Yeah, it's like, I can never pick this man up. You know, and you go back when Khabib was a kid and he's wrestling with a bear, and his dad he says, brother, I grew up in the mountains. I grew up wrestling bears. You think I'm worried about what you're going to do to me here? I'm going to crush you. You just listen to him the way he is. And father-son relationship to me is a beautiful thing. I think too many fathers in America missed the mark since Lyndon Johnson came up with his policy that destroyed the family nucleus in 1965, totally destroyed family. 4% of kids in America used to be born to a single-parent household in 1960. You know what that number is today?
No idea.
40%. 40% of kids are born today to a single parent. How? Terrible policies. Lyndon Johnson came up with this welfare program, giving entitlement programs to everybody. We went from 4% to 40%, and fathers devalued. Who cares about fathers in a household? Who cares about this? Yeah. We need strong men that raise great kids. Lowers taxes, lowers crime, safer community, better future citizens. Unemployment goes lower. A strong father we need a lot of strong fathers. Yeah. So Khabib's father, look who he raised. Badass.
What regrets do you have? Do you have regrets from working too much? Do you have regrets from not making more money?
Let me tell you about the regret thing. You just asked, working too much. My dad worked 6 days a week, and he would leave 5 o'clock in the morning, and he would come home at 9. So we'd never see him except for once a week. And I said, Dad, let me ask you a question. When I was in Germany at a refugee camp, you didn't see me for a year and a half. When you were in Iran, I only saw you once a week. So if I lived there for 10 years, 52 times 10, you only saw me 520 days out of 3,650 days. And when I lived here, you and Mom got a divorce. I only saw you 2 days a month. So 2 days a month, over 6 years, it's not a lot, 24 days, 144 days a year. Do you ever sit there and say, man, I didn't spend enough time with my son? Does that ever eat you up and bother you? I'm asking for myself. His answer, so powerful. He says, 0 regrets. I said, Dad, you can't say that. You mean to tell me you wouldn't have rather spent time with me than doing what you were doing, working 5 to 9 or whatever you were doing? He says, 0 regrets. I said, Dad, how could you say that? He says, my job as your father that God chose for me to do was to raise a leader. So for the rest of our lives, when you're a leader, we can become best friends. Are we not best friends today? I said, we are. He says, that's my job, kid. My dad's a G, and he wanted to raise a leader, and you got to give him props. So now I got to do the same thing, because he's only going to be known as a great father if I raise good kids. Because a great father, you judge a great father based on his grandkids, not based on his kids. If you have great grandkids, that means you duplicated good leaders. And that takes 60 years to realize. That takes a while. You may not even ever see it, by the way.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Me too.
What are we going to see out of you in the next 20 years? I know it's something you're curious about Kobe. I'm curious for Patrick Bet-David.
You know, I'm going on a 40-year run. In my mind, it's so clear what's going to happen. I'm not Nostradamus where I know everything what's going to happen. But in my mind, there's only one person that can fire me, and that's the man upstairs. If God keeps me healthy, I'm going 40 years. I don't like what they're doing to America. I don't like what they're doing to kids, confusing them. I don't like what they're doing to parents. I don't like how they're pinning us against each other. I'm not a fan of that. And some people are using their billions to divide, manipulate, and destroy America. And I think we need some people that are not afraid, who can communicate, and they're comfortable in bullying the bully. They can stand up to guys that are intimidating. And it's a shame if you don't use that fire that you have in your belly to do something about it. Because this country gave me an incredible life. A life every day I wake up, it's like a movie to me. This doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm going to sit there and do what? Just take from what America gave? Whether you read the Kennedy family legacy or the Bush family legacy, you'll see one thing they have in common. Go make enough money to take care of your family, to take care of your kids, to take care of your wife, retire all of them, turn them into leaders, and eventually you have to figure out a way to give time back to public service. Public service you get to do through politics, church, or nonprofit. Pick and choose how you want to do it. This country is too special of a country for us to not give back to. If we just come and take and we don't give back, it's a bit selfish. So 40 years. If we do what we do well, it's going to be a very good movie.
What things? Can you share a few of those things that you're excited
Media, movies, consulting, influence, politically, counsel. I'm not going to be involved in politics. I'm not born here, so I can't run for president. But in any other influential way, we're going to defend the values and principles that brought us to America, and we'll be one of the most powerful voices to do that the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. America gets a black eye. Everybody wants to take a shot at America, but go ahead and get rid of America and see what happens to everybody else. Why is everybody becoming capitalist? Whose model are they duplicating after? Oh, let me guess, America. Okay. So all the trash and shit that people want to talk about America, be lucky that we have a proven concept that worked and changed many people's lives, not just in America, but around the world. So well, we got some work to do. And I'll never forget, I was reading a book by coach of the New York Giants, Coach Coughlin. He says, my entire 40 years of coaching, I've tried to get my players to be motivated through money. A little bit. I try to get my coach to be motivated by starting, whatever. I try to get my coach by motivated of getting an MVP and all this stuff. He says, nothing gets us to fight and compete better than competing for pride. What pride do you have for your last name, for your family, for your heritage, for your faith, for your country? Khabib isn't fighting for frickin' $5 million. He's fighting for his country. He's fighting for what he believes in. Even though him and I don't believe in the same thing faith-wise, you have to respect the guy and understand that this guy's a formidable opponent because there's pride behind his fight. Money is whatever. You're not going to go through the pain that another guy's willing to go through if you're doing it for money. It's not enough. Fame, not enough. Big house, not enough. Pride, you'll tolerate pain for a long ass time until the other guy's given up. It's a very different, energy you're able to tap into. And the other guy will never understand it. That's Khabib, that's Kobe, that's Michael, that's Brady, that's, certain people in politics, in business, in sports, in church. It's very different.
And what would your dad say today? Or what does he say?
My dad, but if you come to my house right now and you talk to my dad would say, once Patrick knew his vision, what he was going to do, nobody was going to stop him. The drive was always there.
So. Awesome. It's great seeing you.
My man, this was great. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.